From one unbelievable blue line in Carolina to just a blue line in LA, what did you make of Ken Holland's day yesterday?
No, it's an unbelievable blue line. 100%. It is unbelievable, just in all the wrong ways.
Let's bring in from the Athletic and Too Many Men podcast. It is the great Shayna Goldman, who, quite frankly, I hear on the sheet all the time. And now I'm just like, let's steal Jeff Merrick's guests. Hello, Shayna.
Hello. Yeah, I've never heard of Whoop. I felt like I learned a lot listening to those ad reads.
This is not good. Shayna famously is a woman, and if she's not heard of a Whoop, who I think this is targeted for, I don't know, I could be wrong. We'll talk about sewing later because Shayna is also a prolific sewer. Mm-hmm. Shayna, what did you make of the Carolina Hurricanes day one of free agency? Because the Stankoven contract is confusingly amazing to us, and we're just buying all the K'Andre Miller stock.
Yeah, I really liked their entire day. It's funny, I was doing the winners and losers column, and I'm waiting for something else to come, whether it was the Miller deal, whether it was the Illiers trade, because I really wanted to put them in the winners, but their deal was incomplete by the time I wrote, so they fell out of it. But no, I have them completely and totally as a winner. The Stankoven contract's great because I think we all know he has that second caliber ability, which is what they need this year, right? Whether he plays on the wing, whether he plays at center. I think it's a big bet, but it's the bet that you take on someone when you know he has a really strong skill set and also a skill set that is legitimately perfect for the Carolina Hurricanes, right? Like if you want to just like draw up the ideal Hurricane, you're either coming up with Stankoven or you're coming up with Jarvis. So love that contract. The Miller one is super fun though, because I think that one, it has a lot more intrigue. It has a little bit more, like mystery of whether he can become the player. I think we all want to see him become because he has all the raw tools, all the skill, but it just hasn't come together consistently enough. But the Canes, that's their magic trick, right? Like they take everybody and turn them into a star within the system. So I feel like he just is built for that versus whatever the hell the Rangers have been trotting out the last couple of years.
Yes. Do you have like more faith in K'Andre Miller's next level because he's going to be in Carolina? Because that's where we landed. We were like, oh my God, like, of course he's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can look at it two ways too, from the Rangers perspective. It's, does he have the potential to become that defenseman and does he have it there? And I think you could say definitely not, right? Like I know they have a new coaching staff coming in, but do you have the faith in the team to turn them into that? And I know people might be upset like they're giving up on someone early and then giving them to a division rival. But at the end of the day, the Rangers aren't going to be able to do what I think the Canes are going to be able to do with him, right? I think that there's this perfect slot for him on the left side of the lineup. And with the Canes, he doesn't have to be the number one guy on the left like he's had to be for the Rangers the last year, number two behind Ryan Lindgren. You're the number two guy behind Jacob Slavin, who I'm sure you're going to learn from a little bit. And you have a strong partner in someone like Chatfield. Like it just feels too perfect of a fit. And you could see ways that he's going to be really good in that system, right? Because he has the foot speed. He has a really long skating stride. He has a disruptive reach. He can break up plays. He can just play a really pesky game. And also he can make that first pass out of the zone. So I think all of that makes a lot of sense for the Canes. It feels like it's what they need because I have less of an issue with the system in Carolina. And I know that came under fire a lot after they lost to the Panthers. I think the system isn't as successful there because they didn't have strong enough pieces within it, right? They have 2 or 3 cornerstone players. They build the rest around. The Panthers have like 8. So I think if you add someone like Miller, it shows they view him as that. And I think that's going to help them in the long run.
Are you confused or as confused as I am by the sentiment from whether it's the Rangers or the Sabres talking about Bowen Byram, where the Rangers are like, there was a threat of the offer sheet with K'Andre Miller, so we had to trade him. The Sabres are like, don't even fucking think about offer sheeting Bowen Byram because we'll match. We're seeing how scared shitless teams are of trading unprotected 2026 first round picks. If I'm the Sabres and I know they don't need any more draft picks, but like, fuck, if someone's going to potentially give me the Gavin McKenna pick, I'm okay with that. So does the fear of offer sheets this year, I get it in other years, but like, does the fear of offer sheets this year confuse you?
Yeah, it feels more real this year, and I think we're seeing some of those RFA contracts get dealt with early, so GMs can avoid that. I think with Bouchard and Nyes, those are two that if you're the Oilers or the Leafs, you're like, please do not offer sheet these guys because we need to control the cost. If you're the Sabres, say, yeah, don't bother. We're going to match it because they don't want draft picks back for him, right? I think because they went for the right-handed D in the Paterka trade, they want a legit top 6 forward. So getting all those draft picks, it's just going to keep them where they are. It's not going to help them. And in theory, you could take the picks you'd get back and try to flip them into something. But I mean, we know the Sabres track record. So I like that they're trying to make it like, okay, don't bother. Don't even waste your time here. The Rangers, on the other hand, though, the threat of offer sheets, they should have liked, right? Because if someone was offering Miller a contract like that, which they were never going to give him, they would get picks in return, which is what they got here. So I think it's funny how like general managers are trying to, stick to their guns and really puff their chest out and be like, yeah, don't do it. We'll handle it. Like, okay, let's see you try.
And then the Hurricanes couldn't protect the pick like they did in this trade. They made it top 10 protected. If they just go and they sign K'Andre Miller to $7.5 million, that's a first, a second, and it's a third. So it's less of a package, but I would much rather, and I know the Hurricanes are going to make the playoffs, but like I said, you're seeing how scared teams are of giving up unprotected firsts. If a team is going to offer sheet my guy and give me an unprotected first that we've seen in other leagues, and we saw this year with the first overall pick, it's not the 5th, 6th, 7th best odds that always win the lottery or the best odds. Sometimes it is like the 9th or 10th. So if a team, depending on the situation, I'm not afraid of an offer sheet if I'm one of these teams.
From one unbelievable blue line in Carolina to just a blue line in LA, what did you make of Ken Holland's day yesterday?
No, it's an unbelievable blue line. 100%. It is unbelievable, just in all the wrong ways. Yeah, welcome back, Ken Holland. I mean, shit. The Kings needed to do something. They needed anything, right? They need a change. Every year, it's the same problem season after season. They're losing to the Oilers. How they think this is the solution, I don't understand. It's so Ken Holland, it hurts. And I don't understand how if you hired him in LA, you didn't see this one coming, right? Because here are guys that he has worked with before in Edmonton and Perry and Ceci, but also here's a blue line that we saw what he put together in Edmonton, right? So it's all wrong because I get it. You have Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty that you could say, well, they could shoulder top minutes. We don't need Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin to do that. And maybe if they're a third pair, they'll be fine. Maybe, right? The Kings have the structure to insulate them, maybe. But also, then you can just poke holes in all of that because you're not paying these guys and signing them to, 3-4 year deals here to have them play on the third pair. The other part of it is a team has their structure systematically, but at the end of the day, don't you think the pieces within that structure kind of matter if they're going to be able to like maintain that year after year? Now you're factoring in CC Dumoulin and you already have Joel Edmondson. You're going, yeah, we can maintain that structure. Like I have a million question marks on why they thought let's get older and slower when we keep losing to the Oilers, right? And also, let's go with guys that look completely overwhelmed by their workloads. Ceci, I know the numbers are worse than they should be because of the minutes he plays, and he did that in Edmonton, and it burned them in the playoffs. Who knew that would happen? And it happened in Dallas. He played way more than he should have. At what point do you think, yes, these are the guys that we want to trot out against? If not McDavid, Draisaitl in the playoffs last year, that's going to get us further.
The observation we made yesterday was that there is conversation, maybe incorrect, that Connor McDavid is looking at what the Oilers have and says, this is not good enough for me, Connor McDavid. Another team that does not have Connor McDavid is saying, let's take that roster, which is crazy. And we love Cody Ceci. We love Corey Perry. The note I will make for the Kings is a big critique I have had of them is my favorite stat is guys. How many guys do you have on your team? The Kings don't have a lot of guys. The Kings don't have a lot of like really good players. And we saw it was to their detriment where they were afraid to play guys, where they were like, I mean, it forced Jordan Spence to be like, yo, get me out of here. Why aren't you playing me? So they at least have more guys now. But as you said, they're older, they're slower. They'll like, I don't know how much better they are than they were. And that's a lot of movement to not get better.
Yeah, and like, I mean, Ceci, we love Ceci as a person. We think that Ceci can often be unfairly maligned in the roles that he's placed in and can be a very, very useful player. But $8.5 million committed to Brian Dumoulin and Cody Ceci in the span of like 30 seconds yesterday was so hard to wrap my head around. And I agree with the assessment that you just gave, which is like they did a lot, but how much better did they get on the whole? Like, what do you think, Shayna? How much better are they today than they were yesterday?
They're not. I would have just overpaid Gavrikov if I'm the Kings because he's that top 4 guy. And I think a difference too between him and someone like Cece is we kind of try to project how are guys going to age into their 30s, right? You hit 30, it's that scary number, and then you just go south from there. And everybody talks about it when you like hear about contracts and free agents. And it's true. But like the miles Cody Cece has at this point, and that you already see them kind of have that wear and tear on him versus Gavrikov, you're like, so you got 2 guys who are very one-dimensional instead of just having the one really good shutdown guy that would help you take some of the workload off of Drew Doughty's shoulders. It just is all odd to me. I get it. They didn't feel like they could trust Spence in those minutes, but I would rather be taking a gamble on him and Clark and seeing what you can do to, pick up the pace a little bit, maintain the defensive structure you have, but sprinkle in more offense. I think that was the key to their offseason. So I just I have a lot of problems with this, and now you're taking up more cap space when you should have been using the flexibility you had to, I don't know, maybe go after one more really good puck moving forward. I feel like that's what they need. I like having Kuzmenko there. I think he was pretty excellent post deadline.
Awesome.
I think that they know how to maximize his skills better than most teams do because they have all of that two-way strength, but you need more of that. You need more scoring pop. That's what would have made them better. Give me more scoring pop, even if it means you're a little bit riskier back in your own zone. And now you're one-dimensional and risky in your own zone. So I cannot say they got better at all.
I'm worried about Brant Clark, a guy who they've been like extending themselves to really shelter and protect and put him in the right situations. And now, like, you're one Drew Doughty bone injury away from him being your number one defenseman. And oh boy, I'm worried about him. He's a special player, but he could be in for a rough sledding this year.
Who do you think poses the biggest threat to the Panthers right now? Because we can pretend that the Panthers aren't favorites to do it again. And at some point, one of these years, maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, I made the comparison to Glastonbury where every 4 years or whatever, they don't hold the festival because the grounds just need a rest. It's one of these years, one of the next couple of years, the Florida Panthers will lose in one of the first couple of rounds and they'll get their rest and then they'll go back to winning Stanley Cups. But right now, who do you think, after the moves of the last couple of days, poses the best threat? Like, has Vegas gotten there? Do you think Dallas is in the mix? The Oilers swap out Arvidsson for Mangiapane? Who would you say?
I'm going to go with Vegas. Although, because Corey Perry signed in LA, part of me is like, all right, they're going to the Cup final, so Vegas, you're actually shit out of luck. Who knew? But no, I will go with Vegas there because I really like what they did. I know they play games with the cap and everything with Pietrangelo, and they still have to find a way to replace him. It helps that you have Shea Theodore because, like, the whole threat of Vegas the last few years is like, look, 2 shutdown centers who can go up against 2 really good lines. And look, 2 shutdown D pairs if you need it in between Theodore and Pietrangelo. Like, it's a really good thing to have. So the goaltending was shaky last year. So if the defense isn't as good, I'm a little bit more worried there with Hill. It depends who they get as a backup. But at the end of the day, their biggest need was replenishing what they've stripped away on the wings, right? They've done so much they can build up that center depth and that defensive depth. I think Haig, moving him was the right call. I think his game really stepped back in a third pair role. I think we know he's better than what he was last year, but it wasn't very good. And if you're going to lose a center and you didn't lose Carlson or Hurdle, or obviously Eichel, you did something right. But now you have Mitch Marner, who, I mean, that poor guy. I feel so bad for him the way everyone talks about him. I think it's the perfect fit for him stylistically. Whether he plays with Hurdle or Eichel, I think he's going to be sick. But I think also the different vibes and different market of it all is huge because just getting out of Toronto, I feel like he should have the weight of the world off his shoulder. So I really hope he can just cook in the postseason and put that narrative behind him. And I feel like playing with someone like Eichel is kind of good for that, right? Because we heard so many things about Jack Eichel. Oh, he's going to be terrible in the playoffs and this and that when he left Buffalo. And oh, look, he probably should have won the Conn Smythe the year that they won. So I feel like that'll hopefully trickle over to Marner.
Do you see, based off of what has happened this offseason or just like any of your projections, like who are your drop in and out like playoff teams heading into the next year?
Oh, I like that question a lot. I want to hold on. I'm pulling up the standing so I can like perfectly look at this because my brain is totally melted after the last day.
I hear
Um,
you. I mean, I'm exhausted and my brain
it's
has, and the Bruins are not helping. The Bruins are just absolutely destroying the 3 brain cells I have left. So,
it's
um,
fair.
yeah.
Drop in or out. It's tough because I kind of feel like the best teams really made it. I'm gonna really go out there. I'm gonna say LA is gonna be my drop out team because I think St. Louis, I don't love what they did, but I think a healthy Holloway makes them so much better than they were last spring through half of that run when he got hurt. So I feel like they could do it again and really build off of that. So if someone has to slip out in the West, I'm just going to say the Kings. They're going to do something wrong. I feel like Darcy Kemper had such a good year, and I don't think he got enough credit for it because everyone will say, oh, it was the team in front of him. But now I think he's going to be so exposed that everyone's going to say, well, Darcy Kemper is the problem, when it's like, no, they just can't convert on their chances and they didn't do anything to fix it. And now their defense is shit on top of it. So I'm sorry, LA, you're out in my book.
What do you think about Vancouver? Because Vancouver kind of kept a couple pieces with Demko and Besser, which kind of shocked everybody yesterday that they returned Besser. So like they're not going to look extremely different, but when I look at Vancouver last year, almost everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for them, and it was just an absolute mess. So if things stabilize, can you see them getting back into that picture?
They could. Totally. Will they have healthy goaltending? Is it going to be Kevin Lankinen against the world? If Quinn Hughes is healthy, he's going to drag that team into the playoffs. So yes, I could see them getting back there. I just everything management does there. I feel like I have to like refresh my page and make sure it's like not a typo when I see something posted like that Demko contract. I'm going, what are you thinking and why are you doing this a year early? As good as we know Demko can be, it's just like, why are you falling into these traps? Like nobody's forcing you to do this. Even, they were going after Christian Dvorak, and you look at the price that the Flyers ultimately paid, but I don't know if it would have been that high if Vancouver wasn't also in on him. So I just don't know if they have the right direction. I don't love their center depth. I think having Besser is pretty big though, because he's a flawed player, but I think they know how to get the best out of him. And I think Pettersson's going to be better too. I am very curious how he looks under a different coaching staff, because I do think at times Tocchet was trying to get him to be something he's not instead of just playing him to his strengths. So I think all of those things work in their favor, and you can see teams with a solid core, which they have between Pettersson and Besser and Hughes and Demko and Net, do a lot, even if they have replaceable pieces around them. But I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of time for management to screw things up more.
Do you like Mikhail Granlund to Anaheim? I think that's just like the ultimate fuck, might as well.
Yeah.
We have the space, and it seems that we're not going to get any of the other guys, so let's just do it. I like it for them, and I put them as maybe not playoff team, but in the hunt watch. They're on watch to be in the hunt. They won't necessarily be in the hunt, but they'll be kind of in the conversation.
They better be at this point, right? Well, these teams, we get to enjoy them for like 4 seconds, right? These up and coming teams, you look at the Sabres, the Ducks, we have these fun years, and then they just follow it up with painfully boring years. So please do be interesting. That would be great for everyone. But I like the idea of Granlund there. I don't love the term as much because it's going to be a little bit different than we saw, like, oh, he has a year left. He can be flipped to a contender and you can get something out of it. Like there's a much bigger commitment here. But I also think the Ducks should feel confident knowing if they need him to play big minutes in power play 1, that's when he can play his best hockey, right? Don't bury him on the third line and he'll be fine. And the Sharks showed that versus whatever the hell happened in Pittsburgh a couple years ago. I thought it was interesting. He was one of those few contracts where we saw like a bad team give someone more money to play with them so they have guys to play around their, up and coming core. I don't think the Sharks did it as much. The Blackhawks sure as hell didn't do it. So cool. But I also feel like of the bad teams, they're the ones that didn't need to do it as much because they have Kreider and Trouba and Killorn already. But it could work there. I'm dying to see these like younger guys progress. And I thought Greg Cronin was going to do that, and it didn't happen. So who knows what'll go on this year.
I did see you write, I think this morning, that a big loser in free agency were the bottom dwelling teams that had a ton of money, because a number of those teams didn't do shit with that money. And DJ mentioned the Granlund ad. It's like, may as well. We've got a bunch of money and it's not going to like kill us or anything. what are these teams like the Sharks or the Blackhawks who desperately need something to propel them forward a little bit other than just the progression of young guys? Like, what's their next step?
Good question. The Sharks, I liked what they did last year, and they brought in all these players and they filled up their cap with these guys, and then they moved out a lot of pieces at the deadline. You go, okay, that's going to help you with with your rebuild. You have assets in return that you can use, more first round picks. Always a good thing to have. But you're also like taking the pressure off the young guys because you have other players to step up around them. And I think that's really important because sometimes with bad teams, we see them draft the superstar, throw them in and go, well, they're going to be our saving grace in them alone. And then you're just overwhelming them day one. And then you worry about what their trajectory is going to be from there. And if you screwed up their developmental path. So I think it would be a good thing to have more guys to go around those young guys. And then you'll have a team of pretty good guys. Like there's a blueprint there to follow. But I think we're kind of seeing not everybody wants to do that, right? Like the money is there from playoff teams and contenders like Vegas, like Carolina. So you don't have to necessarily go to a bad team to get a pretty solid contract. And at the end of the day, you have to make that trade-off. Do you want to make a shit ton of money and just be miserable and hope you get flipped somewhere? Or do you want to play for a pretty good team? So it's going to be tough for the Blackhawks and the Sharks to navigate this. But I think having all that space, like I would imagine they're going to make some trades. So say someone wants to throw an offer sheet out or say someone wants to sign Ehlers, maybe then a team's going to have to clear cap and they can benefit from it. But it's pretty tough for them. I think it's worse for Chicago right now than San Jose because at least the vibes in San Jose were so good last year. Like they were the most fun bad team out there, honestly. So that's something to build off of. The Blackhawks have to get to that point first and then try to go upwards.
I said it a million times. I think the Sharks went too far with that shit. I think that they were so fun and they were so bad. And I loved that. And I watched them as much as I possibly could. And it was trading Zetterlund that made me say, you know what? Like, fuck it. I'm out on this. Like you're trading a young guy whose rights you have, like an RF. Thank you for nodding along because I got so much shit for saying this. People were like, it's a rebuild. You're being
I said the same thing. The Zetterlund trade was my breaking point. Like that was too far. He's part of the solution, not the problem. Also, don't break up this team too much. I'm 100% with you.
Even Wallman, and I know you got a first round pick for him, and it's so good of asset management to say we got paid to take him and then we got a first round pick. But I'm like, you have to have actual NHL players on your team, and you are getting rid of young guys who will be there when you're good. And to your point, I mean, I didn't even bring this up. I could have used that ammunition in my argument of it does take pressure off of these young guys to be like, we've got Jake Wallman. We've got, for some reason, first pairing Jake Wallman to take away from you, all of you guys having to shoulder everything. But yeah, it got to be too much for me, but I'm still pulling for the Sharks to eventually turn it around. We have not discussed Andrew Mangiapane, and I am going to choose to punt on that so I can replace the Mangiapane question with a different Oilers question to fill the Oilers allotment of this show. They didn't do anything in goal. They haven't so far. And the issue that I think they face, because Stan Bowman talked about it when he was saying that, every round of the playoffs, we have the better goaltending until we face Sergei Bobrovsky, and then it all goes to shit. They haven't done anything in net. Do you think that they should have, given what we've seen, or does this kind of not surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because the free agent market is
ass.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Like, I understand that, right? You don't have a ton of cap space. Don't just give it away to fill a position because your goalie situation sucks. Because I don't know if you're going to get it any better. Maybe you'll get it a little calmer, which I don't understand why this team, through multiple general managers, goes, we need the most chaotic crease in the world. Because even watching Pickard play, he plays so aggressively that I'm like, please get back in your net. Like, I am anxious watching you. So I can't imagine management being like, yes, this is the answer. But I don't think the answer was there in the free agent market. It's just now they have to look for that smart trade. And I think of the Blackwood deal as the perfect model for them to follow. But then you actually have to spot those goalies on bad teams and those cheaper options. And I don't trust management to do it. Like, I had questions about management in the past in Edmonton, but it's even worse with Bowman because I genuinely think he's a bad general manager. So it's even tougher there. But if I'm the Oilers, the guy I am looking at is Shelovs. That is the one I'm going. I want him. He's coming off, winning MVP honors in the AHL final right there. And he's young and he's cheap and he handled chaos in Vancouver. I like his chances, but I could see the Canucks being like, we're going to charge you 10 times more because you're in our division. And it feels like the Canucks are one of these really weirdly stubborn teams about that, right? Because at the end of the day, you should be worried, oh, we don't want to face this guy X times a year. And I understand that. If you're talking about Connor McDavid and Quinn Hughes and Mitch Marner, I'll have that conversation. But when you're not talking about a superstar, so many times teams just like shoot themselves in the foot to avoid trading to someone nearby. So if they can get past that, I feel like that is the perfect trade target for them.
It's also, that's part of the reason why the Demko thing confused me so much, for them jumping to give him an extension. It's like Demko could have been the guy that you trade to the Oilers if you don't like what you see from him next year. But at this point, like, I think Shilovs makes a ton of sense, but also like he's your insurance policy if the Demko thing doesn't work out. Like if you have to stash Demko on LTIR or whatever, like he's your insurance policy. So I agree with you that like they're going to have to look and identify to find their next guy.
We have breaking Oilers news.
Oh, God. Oh boy.
Okay.
It is two-pronged. One, the Oilers have signed Curtis Lazar on a 1-year contract.
Nice.
That's
two,
the key.
this is the most breaking news of it. Apparently, Curtis Lazar was... it says Kings. Oh, okay. Edmonton Oil King. It says, we signed a former Edmonton Oil Kings star. I misread it as saying, like, we have signed star forward Curtis Lazar. And I was going to say breaking news was that Curtis Lazar was a star. I chunked that. But that's the breaking news there. They get Curtis Lazar. I like your Shilov's point. And to answer your question of why has multiple management groups said, let's get the most chaotic goaltending possible? The answer, obviously, is because of the Oilers and they're cool as fuck. And they want their games to be a party. So I've got no problem with that. Thank you for noting, though, that that Calvin Pickard is way more of a mess than people think. When people were like, you know what? You got to, at least you know what you're getting with Calvin Pickard. And yes, you're getting a fucking wide open 5-hole or a guy who is doing laps around his net the entire game.
And is somehow still the most stable
and
goalie
is
in that
still
team.
like somehow going to actually calm it down a little bit. But you know what? His point, they are in a tough position. Stu Skinner is the worst goalie to have for this position where they're like, we need to upgrade our goaltending because everybody they look at, okay, at their best, are they better than Stu Skinner at their best? No, because for some reason when Stu Skinner is at his best, he gives up 0 goals for like 5 games in a row. So the problem there is at their best, only like 2 guys in the league are better than Stu Skinner at his best. But they need, like, I wish that somehow Swayman could shake free for them, but it's not going to. And any of these easy fits, it's all going to have to be some sort of a broken toy. And I agree that Shilovs is a good one, but I wonder if the Podkolzin move is going to fucking get in the way of that, where they're like, you know what? We threw away Podkolzin to them, and he ended up being a useful player. Never again.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
a very, very Canucks problem to have. That is 100% something that could happen, that they're going to be salty and be like, nope. And now more people are going to talk shit about them. And we know they're very sensitive about that.
Canucks just ruining every franchise, including their own. Although I do like, Pete said he likes the Canucks. I kind of do too, because they replaced Brock Besser,
With
and
Brock
then
Besser.
they signed Brock Besser.
Yeah.
They got Evander Kane, which, like, not a great replacement, but they were like, okay, that's the replacement.
But like even
hi Brock.
Even in keeping Brock Besser, they like fucked themselves because they
Sounds like them.
they let him get to free agency and then they won the free agency sweepstakes for Brock Besser. It's like pretty incredible. I don't know.
It could have been worse though. Could have been worse. He could have asked for like $9 million and they could have given it to him, and then you go, oh my God, that's a bad contract day one.
Okay, we have kept you way too long, so we're gonna keep you a little longer. Shayna sews.
I did know this. Yeah.
People don't know this about me.
Upcycling, I think is the word, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
How's that going?
It's great. I'm very excited to get back to it because I have not touched my sewing machine in like a month. I've been very busy with all of this chaos of the playoffs. And before that, I was like doing wrestling costumes for a party. So now I'm like ready to rip, get back on it. And I cut a bunch of patterns the other day. So I'm pumped.
What machine are you working with?
DJ's getting into sewing.
Yeah, I love this. So I have a Juki. It is my favorite machine in the world. I have the Brother heavy duty serger. It's pretty good. I have the Singer heavy duty manual one. I used to have the computerized one and it had the thread cutter, but it constantly broke. But the Juki is the best thing I have ever owned, and I don't think I'll ever buy another brand.
Okay, I'm going to be looking into that. I'm just doing the Singer 4411 myself. I was told that if you're getting into sewing, that's the one that you grab, but I don't know. I'm learning about seam allowances, and I'm going to make Pete some jerseys that he has not asked for, but I'm going to do it for him.
That's the key to it. You have to just make a ton of shit and just hand it to people, and they have to be happy because you made them something. And in the beginning, it's probably not going to be good. But then when you make good things, the whole time, like, you're excited that they're pumped, but you're going to be staring at them and be like, I made that. And it's the best feeling.
Fuck yes. All right, Shayna, you are the greatest. Appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
We all silly like the mayor.